Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video here on my channel. 1.14.1 for Java Edition has been released. In this video we will be covering the changes in this update. We're currently here on Minecraft.net to check out the article that's been posted. There is some information about this update and the next one. So it says today we're releasing 1.14.1, a small release that addresses some issues left over from 1.14. We do plan on releasing a 1.14.2 to address further issues while we work on the next major update, 1.15. Now this to me means two things. First of all, there are bugs in this release that they're aware of that they know need taking care of for the next one, and also if they're working on that whilst working on 1.15, it's probably going to take some time, so we can expect to see a 1.14.2 in the future, but maybe not for a couple of weeks. One of the main reasons we need this patch is because of chunk loading. In 1.14 it's been pretty horrendous. Lots of players have seen these sorts of issues where the chunks in the world load and unload and all kinds of quirky thunkiness is happening. So let's jump into 1.14.1 and see what the difference is like. I've spent some time flying around this world generating chunks and the performance is far better. Sometimes it's a little bit slow to load directly in front of you, but that's to be expected. What we're not seeing is those large groups of chunks flickering in and out of existence. That unfortunate problem has been taken care of. There was also an issue with iron golems and villagers becoming a part of the passive mob cap. For whatever reason that happened, I don't know, but the passive mob cap is reserved for animals like chickens, cows, pigs and sheep, and the villagers and iron golems could potentially cause some issues by being a part of that cap. If you're subscribed to the channel, then you may have caught my recent episode of myth busting, and this may just look familiar to you. In that episode we were checking out the new blocks and which of them mobs could spawn on, and then we also looked at a change to the spawning algorithm that has actually been labelled a bug and removed in this update. So to recap you on what the problem was, if you had a chunk border in your mob farm or on a spawning platform like this, that would end up lowering the rates because mobs spawning near the chunk borders would get cancelled. This platform over here, as you can see, doesn't have the chunk borders going through the middle of it, so the rates would have been higher on this one. And after some basic observational and rather crude testing, it does appear that things are back to normal with how mobs are spawning next to chunk borders. There was one other change that hasn't been rolled back. I have now created some glass up in the sky at the very top of the world above these platforms, and it still really slows down the rates, so no change to that change in 1.14. Speaking of myth busting, we had witnessed some strange behaviour with Endermen teleporting to the void. This was indeed considered a bug, and if we recreate the test from that episode, we no longer see Endermen teleporting down to the void and back up again. There is what could be considered a new feature in this update of Minecraft as well, and again from myth busting, this was a myth that we busted, but apparently it was a feature on the Bedrock edition of the game, and now it's been brought over to the Java edition of the game. I can even pick up my arrow after I've lit this campfire. So new feature, if you have a flame enchanted bow, you shoot a flaming arrow onto a campfire, you can light it up. Hey, that's awesome. That makes sense. Let's just do that again. We've got an observer and a lamp, and we can actually detect this now and create a redstone signal from it. And you can shoot it from the underside and get a signal. There are also 3 new splashes added to the main menu. The splash is the yellow text right here. I'm going to fade this out, put them on the screen and read them to you. Awesome game design right there. Pillager had a good run and 10 years of mining and crafting. The last one, of course, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Minecraft, which passed, was it a few days ago or is it in a few days? Anyway, it's roughly 10 years ago since Minecraft first released. I'm also reading that the trick to use a zombie villager to get trades for 1 emerald has been patched. So we're here, we got a weakness potion, we have a golden apple. I'm going to convert this villager, convert the zombie villager and see what happens. Okay then, it's the one on the right that should have the 1 emerald trade, although it can be passed on to other villagers in the area. And no, apparently it's still there. Let's try this again. Well, it seems like it's good news because it is in fact still a part of the game. I mean, I am in 1.14.1. Maybe it's because I did this with a fresh villager. It is still possible to get these super cheap trades. There is also a bug fix that sounded rather amusing to me, so I wanted to go back and check it out. If we take a crossbow and start loading it and then tap R to throw away the arrow, we have loaded the crossbow with nothing. Projectile air. And when I right click on it, apparently I've still even used this, which, yeah, I find that kind of amusing. Now, there are some issues in this update that really need taking care of. I'm going to show you a couple of things, but before we do that, I'm also going to mention there are many more bug fixes and changes, but I've already covered them in my pre-release video, so there'll be a link to that in the description box down below if you want to learn more about the changes between 1.14 and 1.14.1. Go check out that video. So one of those issues in this update is redstone. However, these things seem to be hyper-specific. This was shared with me from Doc M, who understands more about this than I do. So if we use the observer at the back here, we can move this observer and cause it to leave the block in front of it, powering this redstone. I'm going to guess there's an update it's supposed to send that it doesn't do. Now this is hyper-specific. If we use some other means of moving this observer back and forth, you can see it doesn't happen, but through this specific setup it is possible to break some redstone elements. There is also this bug report on the bug tracker. Animals, villagers, item frames, armor stands, etc. are disappearing. Now things like this actually crop up on the bug tracker quite frequently because people report it when perhaps they've just misplaced something, right? But this is a well substantiated bug report, and down here there's some information on what is causing it. Apparently position desyncing, whatever that means. But yeah, near chunk borders is another sign of this. So if you see things disappearing in your world, check if they're near the chunk borders, and yeah, just be cautious with this update. It does still feel like there are some big issues that need sorting out. And I know many of you are probably wondering if Hermitcraft is going to update to 1.14.1. The answer is I just don't know. Although they patched a lot of stuff that really needed doing, it seems like there are still a few bugs lingering around in this update. So as always, remember, when updating to new versions of Minecraft, use the built-in backup feature to keep your worlds nice and safe in case you run into any of these issues. Anyway, that's the end of the video from me, so if you enjoyed it, leave a like. As always, thanks, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye-bye.